I knew it was one of these buttons. There it goes.
Alright. So I just want to kind of review what we learned last week on the class, talk about where we're going next with that, all that information. So all of you in this class were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So we've ordered 4 of those tool sets. You know, the
Okay.
camera and the powder puffer and the amp, whatever, insulation thingy. So, you know, I've been giving a lot of thought to that process, and I've been giving a lot of thought to incorporating that process into the plumbing side to see, you know, what we could do. So that I'm pretty sure that process is going to take place around the water heater. I think that's probably because when you look at the parallels, you see, what are we inspecting? We're inspecting the furnace. You know, it's a tune-up, right? So the water heater flush, basically the whole house plumbing inspection is, you know, basically evolves, or I should say revolves around the water heater itself. So that kind of all roads lead to Rome, so to speak. And I think with the camera, I'm not sure what other tools. Probably we're going to be talking about water treatment, and we're also going to be talking about the government on these water heater inspections. So as one of my things, go ahead.
You might be able to, since if the water heater is already drained, you could probably push the camera up the drain valve, and just seeing the inside of that water heater, I bet would look absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Just for a simple visual.
Yeah. So
Take it off the inner
so to
rod.
get it, yeah, given that's really where I'm going to be going with this, because you know we've got the anode rod that's depleted.
Exactly.
We've got all the crap. Even when we get, you know, after we do our flush, there's still a shit ton of stuff in there. And women in particular, you know, they know they're bathing in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so one of the things I want to incorporate into that is the you know, the chloramine test. I want to see, you know, what level of chemicals in here, because we got to associate the scale with the water. You know,
color.
And the water is what's doing this damage, right? And who puts the chemicals in the water?
It's the government.
The government, right? So who made low NOx water heaters mandatory?
The government.
The government, right? And who writes all the code upgrades that we have to do?
The government.
The government, right? So, yeah, so we're going to be using that a lot in the presentation. It's kind of funny how, you know, I always used the government when I was talking about HERS tests and things like that, and the permits and the code upgrades and stuff like that, but I really didn't, like, understand how that makes me kind of this guy who's neutral and just, you know, has to do what the government says, you know, kind of a guy. So it kind of buffers, I think, some of the expenses and things like that, especially with water heaters. As you guys know, you guys were around when water heaters cost $150 probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you remember those days?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't get out of the supply house without spending $700 now. And it wasn't that long ago, you know, so it's not just inflation that's causing the cost of these things. And we saw, you know, with the water heaters, the evolution of the water heater, sealed chambers, and then low NOx, and all this other stuff that's taking place. It was all based on government. And we see now, especially now in the HVAC industry, we look at how the government's influencing, like even this year's new code starting January 1.
Oh yeah.
We got to have MERV 13s on the filtration. We got to have certain amount of static, you know, extra return air. So every system that we have to replace now, we almost always have to add return air, almost always. And then because we also have to increase the efficiency of our filtration as well. And these are all government standards that we're grappling with, just trying to make this happen. So we're definitely going to work the government thing into the
Who drives truck 14? Is that Mike? Well, not Mike, Jesse.
Yeah.
14. Oops. We got a 2-star review from going 85 miles an hour and cutting somebody off yesterday.
okay, part of our safety class today.
Do you guys have the call the 1-800 number if you don't like my driving?
No, we should put that on there.
No, don't do that.
No?
We'll get more calls.
Oh, you get more?
Yeah, I thought maybe that was up there.
They just called the number on the truck and said.
No, they just
14.
give us a bad review. Interesting. That's, I think, the first.
Usually they don't give you.
We got a review from a customer. I think it's still on there. It says our guy's hanging out in a pot store.
Huh?
Yeah, like he's there all the time.
So he's not even smart enough to park like way down and then
Yeah,
walk.
no, he just like
Take your shirt off.
like
and
he
then-
lived there. Like yeah. I know who it was. He's not here anymore, but
But he lives here a while back.
yeah, it's just like a regular there. You know. And of course the neighbor sees all this and it's like, hey, your guy is bringing your truck, and of course she added insult to injury. Instead of giving us a phone call and saying, hey, you guys got an
Freaking running
issue.
on Yelp.
No, I just think I'll just blow you up on Yelp for no reason. Just like, really? Yeah. Interesting. People are interesting. Anyway, so we want to work the government into the process. So the process, as you can see from the course that we took, the process, the step-by-step procedure, and follow this, all these steps is very, very critical. So I was reviewing the notes I took, and we probably, we have to kind of formalize the process and kind of start doing presentations of the process. So what I kind of want to do is start to pair up with somebody and do role playing. I can't role play with all of you guys. It's not practical. But you guys need to start role playing with each other. And by the way, there will be times when I'm not available. I'm going to be gone for a week in February, this month. In a few weeks I won't be here. So somebody's going to have to step in, and follow that role. Yep.
I can if you want, if you need
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And there's no reason a plumber can't be that guy, right? Because he's just coming in, he knows the process, right? And he's just coming in and confirming that, everything that you said, yeah. And that's all you're there to do, is you're the second opinion, right? And we've kind of been preaching the second opinion for a long time here, and it works. We flipped the calls. You did one yesterday, you flipped that. And what did you sell, some 19,000?
That's 19, and the one before that was 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how well that process works,
Yeah.
and you're making bank off that, right?
That's the goal.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
you're,
goal.
You're making more than I am, so, but that's okay.
Good for you, man.
Because somewhere over the rainbow. But yeah, no,
Just get more drains. That's all I ask.
yeah, no, that's what we do with our money that we do make. Once we do make it, we don't, Kevin doesn't go on a trip to Hawaii. I'm actually going on a trip to Haiti, which is kind of a missions trip, but that's where I'm going for a week. But yeah, I don't live large. Everything I make, I pretty much sink right back into this. So, and that's the direction we're going. We're heading for growth in this company, and we have a lot of opportunity here and a lot of good ideas for marketing toward drains. So it's obvious that our margin is off the charts on those things.
Yeah.
It's just, but we do, in the interim, we do want to find that sweet spot like we do with the coils and in the HVAC industry. I think the water heaters could be too. And like I said, once you're in the home, drains is, drains is a thing, like when we do the whole house inspections, we are supposed to camera those sewer lines. And you'd be surprised what you find, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And the minute you see that, you just, you tell the customer, hey, did you know this is going on? You show them roots in your sewer line. And then, and they're like, whoa, they haven't seen that before probably. Or if they have seen it before, they've been dealing with it for some time. You just, hey, we'll come up with the verbiage and what we're gonna say and how we're gonna turn it over. And we get, hey, I have to, because of the government, I have to get, our guy out here and take a look at this, because we're not allowed to just leave this, because basically what's happening, by the way, cities get involved with sewer lines, and sometimes cities pay toward repairs, and here's why. When it rains, water gets into the sewer lines, and they have to treat that water. So now they're just not treating the water that you flush into the toilet, they're also treating with groundwater, infiltrating into the sewer lines, and now they have to clean that water and process it. So that's one of the reasons. So they're not worried about shit effluent into the dirt, they're not worried about that, they don't care. They're worried about just the opposite, water, rainwater, groundwater getting into the sewer system, and now they have to treat it. Because they have to process it. It just doesn't flow into the ocean. So that's money to them, right? And so they're looking for those sewers to get repaired. So again, we could have a process and a procedure that we talk to them about. Hey, because you're taking water into the system from groundwater, rainwater, etc. We have to have our supervisor look at this and document, what our findings are here, get them out there. So.
Yeah. And by the way, it wasn't just me, it was Sarah too. It was setting up Sarah and doing the whole cells thing.
Yeah, that's what I understood, was what happened, was that you ran the call. I remember you were running it late yesterday and you had nothing to do all day. And, lo and behold, so, yeah, just one call, being available and working the process. He flipped it over to Sarah, got Sarah out there. Basically, Sarah went with his lead and sold the work, and so Sarah got her percentage of the job. And he's got service volume, which he'll probably do better on the service volume than on the actual commission on the sales. So, so everybody's happy, or they should be, in a situation like that. That's pretty awesome.
That teaches me to just check, because I was with him when he looked. He was like, I'm gonna run the camera. I'm just gonna check it out and see if I see anything, and it makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
Just check it, taking that time to check.
It's just like we talked about with that class and checking, just looking at every coil. He's like, what do you do when you get to any furnace call? You look at the coil.
Yeah.
Air conditioning call, you look at the coil. It's just that you just get used to doing that each and every time. And now, the heat exchanger test is going to be so much easier. For those of you who don't know, sometimes looking at a heat exchanger and testing a heat exchanger could take hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have to realize at the back of your head, you're thinking to yourself, and it's human nature, you're going to spend 2 hours and maybe, I might get this customer to buy it. And it's, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game between, you might find 2 or 3, and out of those 2 or 3 in a week, you might find, a customer who's going to say yes. But it takes a lot of time, investment along the way. Well, anything you can do to shorten that window, it's just like this ability to sniff out these coils, very quickly, is pretty amazing. And it's pretty funny because every leak we couldn't find wound up being in the coil. Like we spent all this time thinking, oh, it's in the walls, it's here and it's there, and you know, and then eventually we find out, yeah, it's in the coil. So yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer. Now, I'm pretty excited about what that's going to mean to our company as far as volume of calls. And I don't know that you guys were involved with the conversation that took place afterwards, but so not only do these guys teach us how to make money when we're in the house, but they can also get us in the house. So they have, for a price, they'll generate a lead through our existing client base. So they have a company that does outbounding, kind of like dentists, but on steroids. Yeah, and will generate leads for us.
Nice.
So through our existing client base, so it's not cold calling just out there. It's actually calling clients of ours that we supply them with all their email addresses, and we give them all their information, their history, and all that. And they go off of that list. They're in another state. Yeah, I think Alabama is where that guy's from, something like that.
Yeah, because I was like, that's kind of shady to give him all your contacts like that. But
I was
he's-
gonna say,
he's
yeah,
not
what
doing
happened?
it.
Yeah,
What, they don't keep them? They don't sell them like if they were like,
they could, but you know,
can you stop that or can you put that in the contract? Like,
I would imagine you could put that in
Yeah,
the contract.
you could put anything in a contract, you know, but look what happens to people's data every day.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it gets sold,
Yeah.
you know, because there's always nefarious characters and, you know, involved in stuff like that. I guess there's some way to limit your exposure, you know, on something like that, and it's definitely a good thought to look at that. But at the end of the day, you know, what we do is we get and keep customers, and that's our process. It's been our process, and this is why, you know, take Lois Wareham as an example. You know, there's a customer. I mean, you know, and we flooded her house. Literally, we created about 20 grand in damage in that house. You know, but you know, her insurance picked it up and everything else. But she's still a client of ours. You know, I remember getting that client too. You know, the first day I remember meeting her, and I think that's all I did was sell her a maintenance agreement and did what she asked, you know. Then I kind of walked through the house, did the inspection, I pointed out some things, and she goes, I just had a plumber come through here. And none of these things were revealed to me, so, you know, and it was one of the more expensive companies, I think, as well. So, you know, it wasn't like I was dealing with the cheap Charlie either, you know.
no.
And so it's just like you say, looking, and you know, gosh, we've done so much work for her. We've placed systems in her house.
Filters too,
Yeah,
filters.
whole house water treatment, water heaters.
That was pretty expensive too, because I seen that on the invoice. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've done
yeah.
a lot of work in this house.
Yeah, I seen all that. Yeah.
So you can see, you know, the clients we get, and that they just want us out there all the time taking care of their stuff. You know, and so that's where, you know, that's where how you build relationships like that, and that's how those sales happen. You know, so yeah, so it's those things are very, very, very important. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. I want to. I'm kind of going to write a script for the water heaters, but then I'm going to kind of lean on you guys to kind of go over it and make some suggestions about that. And then on the HVAC, we pretty much have been handed the script. You know, for all intents and purposes, we really don't have to do anything other than practice it, which is, you know, key, it's critical. So, and be prepared to step into both roles. So understand that, you know, when I'm not here, somebody's, and there's going to be lots of times when that's going to be the case. And somebody's going to have to step up and step in to that role.
I've done that for Mike a few times.
Right, right, yeah. So don't feel like, I'll never forget the lesson I learned when, and it was so intentional too. I played saxophone. I was a band geek, and in high school, and there was a concert I played in the symphonic band, and the lead is tenor sax. The lead tenor sax called in sick, and he did it purposely because he wanted to put me on spot. I know he did it purposely. He was a dick. But he taught me a very valuable life lesson. I was pretty much humiliated, embarrassed, and I was unprepared. So I've always remembered that lesson in life, that, you know, hey, you know, sometimes you're second string, but, you know.
Second string is first
hey,
string.
Yeah. Overnight shit happens. You gotta step up. And are you gonna be embarrassed? You know, are you gonna fall down, or are you gonna step up? You know, and it's not just, it's just not reacting to the moment. There's some preparation involved in that, right? So had I prepared to be in his place, but I was too lazy and undisciplined. I just didn't do that, you know. So you got to be thinking in those terms of, hey, you know, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to be prepared, you know, for this. Yeah.
To kind of hit off that is being a team too. You know, I'm used to 8 years ago Tom Moffat in the trenches and stuff, and I remember when I was
That's where I got that call from, by the way.
Tom Moffat?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a helper 8 years ago, you know, it was never about pay, what I was going to get paid today. I was going to get paid overtime, or, you know, hey, I'm going to go home at 4 o'clock today. It was, you know, they were built like, if you gotta dig up at 8 o'clock at night, well, guess what? You're staying till 8 o'clock at night until 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're digging that thing up. You know, I just, you know, today, just teamwork. You know, if somebody needs you, just do it. It's sacrifice. Just keep in mind that when you're a helper, you know, yeah, of course you want to get paid. I'm not saying not get paid, but you also want to do it for the training, to see what's going on, to see the plumbing. But just make sure that everyone works as a team. I noticed that's helps everyone out, because I'm gonna need help sometimes, or somebody else may need help, and you know, if I'm worried about pay or doing this, 'cause sometimes it kind of ruffles what actually needs to get done, and the whole objective is making sure the job gets done.
Yeah, it's very helpful and very true. I think about that all the time. You know, when I was coming up in the industry, and I saw that, you know, there's a lot of focus on, am I making money on this call?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of times when I was just on a call and I was not making, if anything, losing money. And it was frustrating me because I could see everybody else was selling stuff and doing stuff, but I was doing something where I was putting myself in a place where I was learning something. And you don't always get paid for learning immediately, but the rewards come later. So when you throw yourself into those circumstances where you know, man, I'm going to go a couple days here without getting paid, but I'm going to learn something from this. And that's what, you know, that's what builds that strength, so that when you do go on calls, you've earned that. You know, you've earned your stripes, and you can look the customer in the eye, just like Alex was saying, and you are the expert now. You know, you have done your homework, and nobody else can say what you can say, you know, because they haven't spent that time, they haven't put in that effort, you know. And it brings a certain quality to you in from the sales perspective that you cannot learn in a class. You have to experience it, and that's what gives us that courage and that strength, that ability, that resilience. That reminds me of the Super Bowl. I hate to go there, but dang, like if you looked at two quarterbacks, and which guy was used to having to come back.
Mahomes.
Yeah. And there was it was just all determination in his eyes. And Sarah and I were talking about that yesterday. And the other quarterback, you look at his body language, he was all looking at the ground, self-doubt, you know, all those negative influences were pouring in. And we can all relate to that because we've all been there before, you know. But this guy Mahomes, man, geez, like he doesn't care what the score is. He's got attitude, you know, and he doesn't fold, you know, just amazing. What are you made of? You know, it's like, and he seems to, the greater the pressure, he seems to respond even better. But that's probably a learned behavior, I don't think he came out like that as a person. I think he developed that within himself, you know, and it was probably a lot of hours that nobody saw. You know, when everybody else was doing this, he was doing that, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, when you're working late at night and, you know, making those sacrifices. My wife, by the way, was really surprised when she said something to me about, she looked into the bank account. She always does that every morning. And she looked and she goes, I don't know if she looked into the account or looked at, you know, the work that was done, but on Monday, she goes, Anthony got paid on that job with Lois Wareham already. And she goes, do we even do that work? And I go, I guess we did.
Hey, you know, that's, thank you. See, that's why I was referring to the team. So I couldn't do it by myself. Iggy helped. Guillermo helped a whole lot. Cameron helped a little bit. So everyone had a part in it. But Cameron kind of canceled out on me, kind of ruined the plans. But if these guys didn't show up, I kind of would have been lost. I wouldn't have lost. It would just took a little bit longer. But you know, a lot of these jobs are based. The quicker we get done, but without losing the quality, it's better for the client sometimes because she's gonna have a whole house party of women drinking wine, and that was the whole purpose of getting this done in a time fashion before Monday. But I couldn't do it without the team. So I want to make sure that, you know, sometimes it's good to have a good team that you can rely on, especially me or Sarah. If we're having big things going on or things are happening, we can call on Iggy for sure. He's always available. Guillermo's good. Just being available and just that's the focus and get it done. So yeah, that was.
And here's the other thing: if you were still working on that yesterday, you probably wouldn't have gotten that call.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So that's one of the other lessons I've learned in this industry is, man, you know, you make hay when the sun is shining. You do not, you know, you jump on that, and you don't let go until you're done. As painful as that is a lot of times, because you'll have plenty of times where you're just kind of like kicking back, or there's really not much to do, and then you can go do your things that you wanted to get done. You know, it's just like I had some priorities today that kept me out of the gym, you know, but yeah, I might get a chance later on to go to the gym, you know, when it's more appropriate. So, and I'm still up early, so yeah, it wasn't like I slept. But anyway, yeah. So it's prioritizing and it's making each other a priority in this company, and that's really, I mean, selflessness is what really, in the end, benefits you anyway. Is that mentality? So that's a really, really good mentality to carry with you all through life, in every aspect of life. Is having that giving and servitude attitude, because people respond to that, and you'll always be blessed financially by that. So for sure, yeah, definitely. So anyway, I'm gonna, like I said, put together. I want to get started role playing. We don't have to wait till Tuesdays to role play. When we have some downtime, you guys are sitting around in between calls waiting. You don't have to have an accountability partner, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have one. But just sit down and say, hey man, you want to role play? Let's go over our notes. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or let's write a script. Take the lead here, and let's write a script for sewer lines, or let's write a script for this circumstance or that circumstance, because I can tell you those circumstances will come your way, and whether you're prepared or not is going to have a lot to do with the results at the end of the day. You know, so it's always preparation. You know, preparing ourselves for this to come. So, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we are going to be pedal to the metal on service calls. So you guys in the HVAC, we already have an answer, and the neat thing about that is we don't pay for the call until we run the call. So that's kind of a cool thing. So we could turn it on and off like a faucet. So we could book up our day, and you could book 3 to 4 calls in a day. You know, depending upon, obviously, if you have 4 air conditioners, you know, it's going to be 1 call.
Yeah.
But
we'll do 4 air conditioners and then another 3 air conditioners.
Right, right. But you know, being efficient with your time, and I'm setting aside my time, and I'm trying to, as William knows, I'm trying to not do anything anymore. I'm not trying not to turn wrenches. It's kind of a discipline for me a little bit, and I'm trying to make that more about training and less about, you know, just trying to get the job done, because that's kind of my go-to. And the whole point about that is trying to make myself more available, and letting go of the fear of he's gonna F this up. You know, it's just because I'm a perfectionist. So when I give something to somebody, I just like cringe, because I go, oh, they're gonna F this up. It's just at the back of my mind, you know, because I have such high expectations for myself, but I have to realize that everybody gets an opportunity to learn. And a lot of times, you know, until you get your hands on something, you don't learn, right? And that's where that learning comes from. So I have to kind of take a deep breath, calm down, Kevin. They'll get this. They got this, you know. And so I'm going to be doing more and more with that. Like Guillermo, I sent out a job by himself yesterday, just because it actually took me discipline to sit there and go, don't go out in the field today. Don't go out in the field today, you know. And it's just because, you know, it's just been my reaction every day for the last 30 years, you know. It's just go out there, you know, and find stuff and do stuff. And yeah, so it's going to take me a little bit of training to discipline myself to step into that role for you guys. But I take that role very seriously, by the way, because I know your income's tied to it as well as mine. But even more so, I'm more concerned about your income than I am my income, believe it or not. Because, you know, there's nothing like losing a sale, and you just cost that guy money. Like, it's hard to look you in the eye after that, you know. And it's something I take personally, so I want you to know that. And that's why I'm going to be working really hard to lean on you guys to throw you into the field, you know, to give you guys responsibilities and just kind of help you and walk you guys through that. And you guys will learn, and then I'll create that, you know, confidence in you, that faith in you guys, you know, over a period of time. You'll develop a lot faster as well. So anyway, I appreciate you guys stepping up yesterday, William. You know, grabbing 2 steam generators that have issues. So I appreciate that. So anyway, it's nice to have somebody to run steam now, because I didn't, you know. So I'm just going to be kind of throwing that at you. Yeah, you too. Yeah, no, I know.
That was the first one you threw at steam.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'll take steam.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more the heavy boiler side.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, well, it's all availability too. But yeah. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm not sure. I'll find out when those tools are coming in. Like I said, we got 4 sets. Who wants a set, by the way?
I just want the leak detector thing, because I do a lot. I think I'm gonna try to cross sell. I want to try to set you up.
Okay. All right.
I definitely want all 3.
You want a full set? You
Oh,
want a full set? You want a full set?
What's the price?
600, I think, for a full set.
Let me try it.
That's a good idea.
It's good competition. Challenge.
Well, tell you what, as like any other tool, like it's you make your money on those tools, and I regret selling that puller, the trick puller.
And you know what? I had a long conversation with Alan yesterday, and because I have a guy that we could have just paid hourly for. Okay, look, I had this whole thing planned, and then I was told that it was sold already. Okay, well obviously I'm going to use it. When we're not using it, we can actually sub out to other companies to do it. So that machine's always going to stay busy making money, even if we're not selling in house.
Yeah.
And it's easy. We could just set up one table booth and say, hey, we're going to charge this, and this is setup fee to all the other plumbers at Ferguson. You know, spend one day there, put out pamphlets, and just have them available. So that thing would have been making money, even if we're not making money in house.
Yeah.
Ourselves. So I was like, I had so many ways to go with that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess it's too late now.
It's too late. Yeah. Anyway.
Better save to buy another one.
Yeah. Well, brand new was like 50 grand, 60 grand. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I paid 30 grand for that setup.
And you got lucky on that one, Lid.
Yeah, and and I sold it for 15.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing about that is I did make my money on it. I mean, we did. You know, we were doing 6-inch poles in a factory, food factory in up north, and we did that, we did a few other jobs, and I look back on it, and we probably did over $100,000 in pulls.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
Cool. If we had it, we've already been quartered there already in just a matter of days.
right? Exactly. It doesn't take long, but you know that's okay. So maybe I'll get a new one. I don't know.
New shiny one.
A new shiny one, yeah. So like I said, it's what I'm getting to is that you can't, if you buy a good tool and you put it to use, it will pay you back in dividends. You know?
Just for the future, I wouldn't say do it anytime soon, but when the time comes, if you choose to buy one, Carlos is one of my really good friends. I've been working with a lot of times. He has no problem coming over and training how to use that specific tool. And exactly how it works.
Okay.
And then we just need to get a guy that can just do that all the time. But I mean, that's nothing that needs to happen anytime soon. I'll just in the future.
Yeah.
I plan on staying around here for a little while.
Yeah.
So.
One of the things I want to mention too in passing is that, so if you notice that, like we had a conversation with Alex after you guys left, and one of the things that we talked about was structure. And so they have people who sell. You know, those are the people you flip to. Then they have people who run those tune-ups and do the flipping. And then they have people who do the work. Okay? They don't take the guys who do the flipping and then make them do the work like we're doing now. Okay? So we're not going to be doing that anymore. So our goal is to restructure the company so we have A, B, and C. And C is not A, and A is not C, and B is not A and C. You know, except for on the sales flip part, you will have to reverse roles at point in time, but you're not going to be doing installs. Is my point. Installers are installers. Okay, and that's all they're allowed to do is maybe some add-on sales. You know, if they find some other shit. And, you know, I know installers that, by the way, make around 70 grand a year, not in installing, but on flips. So, you know, and in the HVAC industry. So they're in the house all day, right? 8 hours, chatting it up with the homeowner. Guess what they get to do? Build relationships, right? Sell stuff that didn't get sold, you know, stuff like that. And they, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, those guys do well. And so obviously we got some restructuring to do in our company. We've got to, you know, look to that and develop the people, get the people that we need to do that. It's going to be kind of in the same in plumbing. You know, we don't want you guys. We want you running the drain calls, setting them up, having somebody come out, Sarah maybe, or vice versa, selling those calls, and then we don't want you having to do the work. We'd rather have another team come in and just do the work, so we can keep repeating the process over and over again, so you get specialized at what you do. And you're very highly effective when you're specialized. And it's really hard, by the way, you guys know this, when you take off one hat and you put on another, like, and it takes time to get into that mode, you know, the installer mode, you know, but if you're installing all day and that's all you do, you're in that mode constantly. You're never trying to be something other than that, except for maybe add-on sales when you're in the house, you know, so, and that's very, very effective and efficient that those guys get, you know. That's when they, you know, they turn around full systems in a day. No problem, 2 guys. You know? So, and that's just efficiency. That's all that is.
Quick question on the structuring. So you covered your PM guys, you covered your install guys, you covered your sales guys. Where does service fit? Non-ops, diagnostics?
Same thing. When you go on a non-op,
Okay.
you got the same approach. You're heading straight for that coil.
Well, yeah, that's definitely gonna be one of the things you scoop into, but I'm saying, is that the PM's guy now? Or is that service installer?
Well, no, it's a service tech that's running a non-op. It's a service tech that's running a tune-up.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Okay.
He's doing the same thing. You better be. You go into the house, you sniff out that coil. That's why we're there, right? So plumber, you go in the house, we should be flushing that water heater. Hey, it's part of the service today. I know we're replacing your water main, but you know, just get in the habit of doing it every time. You know, you know, as part of the service today, you know, we're gonna camera your sewer line. Yeah, I know we're putting in a water heater, but that's part of the service. Is we don't wanna, you know, we don't wanna come back here and have you, you know, sewage backing in your house, you know. And when we were here and we have cameras on our truck and, you know, it's easy enough, you know, this is our policy in our company is to make sure that there's no surprises for you in the future. And you just protect the customer. You know, that's how we run it. Just, yeah. Anything else? Okay. All right, that's it. We're way past.
So you had 4 hours that Friday, right?
Mhm.
Where was it more?
It was Wednesday. It was
Wednesday.
from